Assalamu alaikum to all of you who are joining us today on the ZJ Legal. I'm your host, Advocate Zohaib Jamali. आज का ये जो स्पेशल लाइव सेशन है, ये जैसा कि आपको पता है कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने लॉ क्लर्कशिप्स अनाउंस कर दी हैं और 15th ऑफ मई इज द लास्ट डेट। इस हवाले से ये सेशन रखा गया है, शेड्यूल किया गया है ताकि आपको गाइड किया जा सके कि एप्लीकेशन प्रोसेस कैसे होती हैं, एप्लीकेशन के जो एसेज हैं, ऐसे क्वेश्चंस उनको असल आंसर कैसे करना है, क्या प्रोसीजर अपनाना है। इस हवाले से आपके लिए ये स्पेशल लाइव सेशन जिसमें हमारे साथ करंट 4 जो सिटिंग लॉ क्लर्क्स हैं उन्होंने हमें ज्वाइन किया है, उनसे आपको गाइडेंस मिलेगी। आई वेलकम यू ऑल ऑफ यू हु आर ज्वाइनिंग अस टुडे। The first guest we have is Hania Chana, who is a coordinator of Supreme Court Law Clerkship. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, Zohaib. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. Please kindly briefly introduce yourself and your background.
Of course. I am Hania. I am a law clerk at the Supreme Court. I clerk with Justice Mohammad Ali Mazhar. I did my BLLB from LUMS, and I'm currently the coordinator of the Clerkship Program for this year, along with being a research assistant for the Pakistani Feminist Judgments Project.
Right. The second law clerk is Mr. Mustafa Kundi, who is a law clerk to Justice Irfan Sadat Saab. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum Assalam ji, I'm Mustafa. I'm based out of Islamabad. पैदाइश परवरिश इधर ही हुई है. I did the University of London External LLB, and during that degree period, I interned at various firms. I worked at RSIL for a brief while, at Rhea Barker Gillette, at Orr Dignam, and at Sardar Muhammad Islam Law Associates as a litigation associate.
Thank you. The third current law clerk is Madam Noran, who is a law clerk to Justice Aisha Malik. Assalamu alaikum.
Hi, Assalamu alaikum, Zohaib.
Wa alaikum salam. Briefly introduce yourself.
Bilkul. So hello, my name is Nuren. I clerk with Justice Aisha Malik. Before this, I worked at Access Law Chambers for about almost 3 years, and I did my LLB from the University of London External Degree Program.
Thank you. The fourth law clerk is Madam Tayyaba Munir, who is the law clerk to Justice Ishtiaq Ibrahim. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam, Zohaib.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Kindly briefly introduce yourself.
I'm Tayyiba Munir. I'm currently clerk with Mr. Justice Ishtiaq Ibrahim Sahab. And my brief background is that I did my degree of Sharia and Law from International Islamic University's 5-year program. Afterwards, I worked with the Federal Tax Ombudsman as the legal internship in charge. I also had the honor of representing Pakistan in the OIC Ombudsman Exchange Program in the Kingdom of Morocco for a period of 3 weeks in the Institution of Mediation. And that's all.
Alright, thank you. सबसे पहले तो हम बात करेंगे कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट लॉ क्लर्कशिप है क्या, सुप्रीम कोर्ट लॉ क्लर्क करते क्या हैं. फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन टू यू मैडम हानिया चना, what does law clerk actually do as a law clerk?
Thanks, Zohaib. So the Law Clerkship Program it's a full-time 1-year contractual position with the Supreme Court, and every selected candidate is assigned to a sitting judge of the Supreme Court, and they work directly in their chambers. It's a rare opportunity to understand how the law is shaped at the highest level and to see how jurisprudence is formed in real time. Most of the duties of a law clerk are already outlined on the website, but mostly it includes legal research, proofreading, reviewing judgments, assisting in judgment drafting, and assisting with the day-to-day casework.
Thank you. The second question to Mustafa, आपको किस किस्म के टास्क मिलते हैं एज अ लॉ क्लर्क प्रैक्टिकली? I think Mustafa's internet has some issues.
Are you able to hear me? Am I audible?
Yes.
All right. I can only speak to my experience, and practically my judge. For the most part, he gives me research work, and after building a little bit of a relationship with him, I've been able to at least prepare drafts or portions of the judgment or the case note that I submit. It's using the judgment. So mainly, it's helping in writing judgments.
Right. So the next question to Noren: How closely you work with the justice?
Thank you, Zohaib. So I would say it depends on the judge that you are assigned because each judge has a different way of working. And I can just speak to my own personal experience. So with my judge, I work pretty closely. As Mustafa and Hania have already said, your day-to-day tasks basically consist of lots of research and then helping draft, at least at the bare minimum, like a template for judgments. So in doing that, you keep having like this back and forth with your judge because ultimately it is their words and their vision that you kind of have to bring to life. Beyond that, I think one thing that is more personal to my judge is that she attends a lot of conferences and she gives a lot of speeches within Pakistan internationally. And I can't say that I've ever accompanied her internationally, but definitely Pakistan mein to you do assist your judges and you do attend with them. And honestly, it does help a lot because, whether you're sitting in a courtroom or you're just sitting as a viewer, as they're giving a speech, you do need to take down those notes as well because that is also part of the job. You need to observe, and you're sitting there ultimately in that position then as like a third party, not as somebody who works so closely with them. So they also like to know in general, they always like feedback on like, how they are being viewed and what they can also do to perhaps be how they can be more receptive. So I think it's a pretty close relationship, but once again, it depends on judge to judge.
Okay, thank you. The next question is related to the application process. जैसा कि सबको पता है कि अभी application open हो चुकी हैं और 15th of May is the last date. So तैयबा, the question is to you. जब आपने अप्लाई किया था, how did you approach the essay questions?
Okay, thank you, Zohaib. First of all, I would say that as Hania is the clerkship coordinator, so she would be better in a position to explain the entire application procedure. So I would only answer for the question relevant to me. That is, what did I do with the essay questions? So my approach is that I believe that every person in the world have certain skills. There is something in which every individual is good at, and I consider, to my extent, it is writing. So I enjoy writing. My writing abilities are very good, as I believe. So that was also reflected in my essay writing. I believe that I write in a creative and a lyrical and a poetical sort of manner. And when I wrote my essay questions, I always focused to put all of that creativity in the legal perspective. So that was the thing that I did, conducted an extensive legal research combined with the citations and references, not only from Pakistan's jurisdiction, but also from the foreign jurisdiction, and combined with my writing abilities and the research skills that I've gained over my jobs and different experiences. So that is the thing that I did to my extent in essay questions.
Thank you. The next question is to Hania. Any strategy or you can say a structure you would recommend in answering the questions?
I I wouldn't know of like a particular structure because I feel like every candidate will come up with a unique way to answer. I can talk about the personal statement. A lot of people, including myself, think of personal statements as an opportunity to write about your life story, and that leads to sometimes your personal statement being too personal. And I feel like for the clerkship, it's very important to connect your story back to the purpose of the statement and to show why you're a good fit for this for the clerkship program, right? So to reflect, of course, it's important to talk about your journey and what led you to law, but then also connect your experiences to the skills that you've developed, focusing more on your professional journey and the traits that you've developed that make you a good candidate, and then how your perspective or your interests will contribute to the work of the court. so of course, like for example, in my personal statement, I started with an experience, an observation, and then I sort of developed that into and then I shifted to how the internships that I've done, the research work that I've done, the academic work that I've done, and what skills I gained through that work, and then why and how those skills connect to me being a good law clerk at the Supreme Court. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. The next question to Mustafa, the same question. Any strategy or we can say structure you would like to recommend?
Just exactly what Hania said. I think every candidate's going to come up with their unique way to express themselves. As far as the essay questions go, going off of what Taiba said as well, I tried to keep it a little creative. I tried to introduce as many literature quotes as I could. I tried really, having a good structure to my answer, because I thought, okay, the word limit was so small. Okay, I couldn't fit as many references or many reproductions or as many things that I wanted. So I ensured, okay, my intro was really concise. I ensured my outro that summarized all the ideas that I discussed. So ensure that you have a coherent answer, and you try to really manage within the word limit.
The next question is regarding the word limit. To Noren, the question is, एस्पायरेंट्स क्या करते हैं, रिसर्च भी कर लेते हैं, लिख भी लेते हैं, लेकिन वर्ड लिमिट जो 750 है उस पे पूरा नहीं उतरता। तो इस हवाले से कोई गाइडेंस, कोई टिप आप देना चाहें तो?
Yeah. So I think थोड़ा सा मुझे आपका पिछला question भी answer करना होगा in able to properly answer this question, because I feel like both of them are linked. But my view is that when you approach these questions, you should focus on your own strengths. So for example, if you are better at constitutional law or family law, whatever area of the law, especially in the question that you do have the option of writing the freedom to, critique a specific judgment, you should focus on your strengths. And when you do that, you obviously do a lot of research on that area, so much so कि आपके mind में completely clear हो जाता है and how to approach that specific question, because you can break down all the issues to the point where you don't need to be writing too much about it to get the point across. Another technique that I personally used was that I, even at that point, pictured that, let's say there's a judge in front of me who wants a brief of just 750 words. How do I approach it? So you already from the start, even without being admitted into the program, pretend as if you are already there, and pretend as if that is the task that has been assigned to you, so that when it actually comes to writing it out on paper, it becomes much simpler and you take it much more seriously, and then it's much more easier for you to translate your thoughts onto paper. And finally, I just want to say that it requires a lot, again, just to emphasize, it requires a lot of clarity in your own head of the law and a great understanding of the law. And I think once you are able to do that, then it's very easy to break down what you want to say and make it more concise, because it is an art to write down itni badi cheez into something much smaller. So yeah, I think those are my 3 tips.
Thanks. Again, the question to you, Hania, is you are the coordinator. आपको क्या लगता है जो भी एस्पायरेंट्स हैं उनके बिगेस्ट मिस्टेक्स क्या होती हैं ऐसे क्वेश्चंस को आंसर करते हुए?
I think, as Nuren said, I think it's very important, because when I was also applying for the clerkship, one of the most important advice that I was given is that you should treat your essay questions as your first assignment as a law clerk. And the number one skill that I've learned at my clerkship is I used to write a lot. Like मैं बहुत ज़्यादा एक छोटी सी चीज़ में बहुत लंबा करके लिखती थी, and my judge was like, I literally do not have the time to go through all of this, and I need you to tell me a point. What's the point? So I feel like it's an art to say more in less words. And that's something that I learned as a law clerk here. कि मुझे पता है कि I'm working with a judge, and he does not have the time to go through all of the pages that I've written for him, and he needs me to be concise in what I'm saying. So I feel like this also reflected in my clerkship application, where I was struggling with, writing a lot of things and like sort of incorporating all of the research that I've done on the questions into less words. So I think, and usme phir aapka, like the point that you're trying to make also sort of, it's lost in all those words. So I feel like sticking to the point and answering the question directly and making sure that the point that you're trying to make is not lost in, it's very important to do good research, and it's important for your answer to reflect that you've done all that research, but at the same time, it's also important to, be concise in what you're saying and, um, like ensure that, your point gets across. So yeah, I think that's one thing that you must be mindful of.
थैंक यू। द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन टू तैयबा मुनीर, आपको क्या लगता है कि जो आंसर्स हैं इनसे आंसर्स उसमें किस पे फोकस करना चाहिए, फॉरेन जुरिस्डिक्शन पर या फिर पाकिस्तानी जुरिस्प्रूडेंस या जुरिस्डिक्शन पर?
To answer the other question as well that you asked, that how to keep the words concise. So the thing that I did was I wrote my answer completely, and obviously it was out of the word count. Then usko likhne ke baad main phir usme se cut down kar leti thi whatever I thought is irrelevant or is extra or is repeated. So that is also a thing that you can once write your complete answer and then you can make it short or paraphrase it or do sort of stuff like that. And now the second question is that कि हमें फॉरेन जुरिस्डिक्शन पे फोकस करना चाहिए है या जो नेशनल जुरिस्डिक्शन है हमारी उसके ऊपर. सो देयर आर सम क्वेश्चंस जो आपसे कंपैरिजन मांग रहे होते हैं, ठीक है. तो इन कंपैरिजन क्वेश्चन द कंपैरेटिव स्टडी रिक्वायर्स यू टू डिस्कस द नेशनल एंड द फॉरेन जुरिस्डिक्शन बोथ एट द सेम टाइम. तो उन में आप दोनों तरह की जुरिस्डिक्शंस को डिस्कस करें, लेकिन जहां पे आपसे नहीं डिमांड किया गया देन यू शुड ट्राई टू स्टे ऑन द नेशनल जुरिस्डिक्शन. बट अगर आपको लगता है कि कोई बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट जो रिस्ट्रिक्शन है फॉरेन कंट्रीज में, कोई इस तरह का केस आया हुआ है जो कि बहुत अच्छे से उसको डिस्कस कर रहा है, देन आप उस क्वेश्चन में भी फॉरेन जुरिस्डिक्शन के केसेस डिस्कस करें. लेकिन आई बिलीव दैट इन द कंपैरिजन क्वेश्चन, द कंपैरेटिव स्टडी जो आपसे डिमांड कर रहे हैं उसमें ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है कि नेशनल एंड फॉरेन दोनों डिस्कस किए जाएं. एंड जिसमें नहीं डिमांड, देन यू शुड फोकस ऑन द स्ट्रॉन्ग प्रेसिडेंस ऑफ योर ओन कंट्री.
राइट, थैंक यू। द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन टू मुस्तफा, आपने जब अप्लाई किया, आप सिलेक्ट हो गए, अपॉइंट हो गए, आपको क्या लगता है कि कमेटी जो है वो क्या असेस करती है, रिसर्च स्किल्स, राइटिंग स्किल्स?
आई थिंक मिक्सचर है दोनों का, आपके रिसर्च स्किल्स, आपके राइटिंग स्किल्स, और साथ साथ आपका मिजाज भी वो देखते हैं कि फिर दिस इज द टाइप ऑफ पर्सन विल गेट along with his cohort well enough, or they'll get along with his or her judge well enough. So they look at, I think, whether the person will be a good fit for the clerkship, and that means somebody who's disciplined, who's dedicated, who can afford to a shift to a different city if need be. Somebody who's shown they have worked on various things and they have expressed themselves well enough, because the main thing is you have to save your judges time or make their lives a little easier. And if you aren't able to express yourself in a good way, in a concise way, and if you aren't able to submit high quality research, then you're not helping with that. तो एक तो आपका मिजाज भी देखते हैं और साथ साथ ये दोनों चीजें देखते हैं.
Okay, the same question to Nuren. You have to answer the same question.
Right. Zohaib, can you please repeat the question?
कमेटी जो है वो क्या देखती है, रिसर्च स्किल्स देखती है, क्या देखती है, राइटिंग स्किल्स देखती है?
Acha, so I would have to agree with Mustafa. They look at a combination of many things. Obviously research and writing, and ye wale jo should be like basic skills that as a whole matter. But I think, and I'm not going to talk too much about it because it's already been talked about so much, Abhi. But I think beyond that, they do really look at and something that applicants should consider is how well you will get along with a specific judge. So I think specifically if you want to be placed with a judge of your choosing, then you would need to focus on their jurisprudence and focus on their interests and what the climate is in courts when it comes to them. Personally, if I could give a tip, I feel like I mean, I really wanted my judge to choose me, but I also made a very big effort of going through literally every single thing that she was doing unke conferences se leke unka case law and then events that she was attending, every single thing. And not because just for the sake of the clerkship, but just generally ever since I graduated, she is one judge in particular who I have just really closely followed because I just enjoy everything that she puts out and what she stands for. So, yeah, I think that will also play a part because especially if there's a judge that you want and you hope that there's a chance that you will get them, so make sure that your application is kind of tailored towards that and it kind of reflects that.
Okay. The same question to you, Hania, being the coordinator of the current committee.
Thanks, Suhaib. I think Mustafa and Nuran have covered most of, actually all of what, the answer should be from my side also. I think it's, of course, a combination of both research and writing. And then I think once you're past that application stage and, if you're shortlisted, and then you have an interview with two sitting judges of the Supreme Court, and then it mostly just depends on how well you do in your interview. And as Nuren said, doing a lot of background research on, specific, of course, the judges that you might want to work with in the future, but also into the judges that are on the committee. What kind of questions can you expect from those judges in particular? What might they be looking for is also equally important.
Right. Thank you. Now we are going towards your clerical experience. The first question we received to our audience. You can ask the questions in the in the comment box or chat box. The first question we received that can you describe your typical day as a law clerk? So I think Tayyiba, you have to answer this.
Okay. So, my typical day. So, first of all, my judge wants me to sit in the courtroom and to observe the arguments of the counsels and the nature of the cases. So, this is the first thing that I did do in my day, to attend the court hearings and observe everything and take down the notes. Then, after the court ends, I have to jordan out all the notes I have made in the day and then to assist in the writing of the judgment, not only to the terms of argument but also to the research related to the case laws and the relevant any legal thing that is required to be written down in the judgment. So first attending the court hearing, then assisting in the writing of the judgments, and then to do any sort of legal research work that is assigned to me by my judge. I, with my judge, also has a session of discussion every day. So either it can be in the morning or afterwards the court ends. So we have a small session of discussion about 15 to 20 minutes every day, and we discuss any legal thing. It can be the criminal law, it can be the constitution, or anything like that. So it's not only for the purpose of the research related to the judgments, but also to enhance my own knowledge, because my judge wants me to discuss things with him after reading, so that if I have any sort of question, he can clear them down and all sort of things. But I believe that the experience of every clerk is different, as my colleague stated earlier. So this is my day, typical day at the court.
Okay, Anya, can you describe your typical day as a law clerk?
So my typical day as a law clerk, I would go in, I would see the court proceedings for that day. I think it's really important to make a habit of, going to court each day, having, sitting in the court proceedings. And uske baad, my judge would usually call me afterwards. We would, work on, he mostly has a lot of judgments that he's working on. So he'd give me a research proposition that I'd have to work on for the day. I'd spend my day working on that with him, mostly in his chamber. He requires me to sit with him in the chamber while I work. So there's a lot of long hours with him. And sometimes there are slow days, and I don't have much to do. But I'm lucky in the sense that my judge makes sure that even if there is a slow day, I always, get to learn something. He makes sure that he also considers it a failure if if there's something that I'm not able to deliver, or he takes it very personally and he looks at it as his own failure. So he makes sure that there's a lot of learning and that I always, each day, take something that I've learned. So there's a lot of on slow days, discussions on the law, discussions on CPC, CRPC. He'd come up with a section and then we'd, dive into it and talk about that. So a lot of that. And I end my day at around 5, 6. And yeah, that's a typical day for me.
Okay, thank you. The same question to Noreen. How can you describe your typical day?
Right. So again, I just want to say that every law clerk's
Right.
routine and day-to-day workload will be different depending on the judge they are assigned. My judge um, is a little bit different in the sense that I am required to be in court before 9 a.m. because we often have a session where I brief her on the work that I have done the day before, the night before she heads to court, and then anything that she would like instant research on, she assigns to me before she goes to court. So then there are, in all of this, because the workload is so tough, before even court starts, there are days where I do go to court, and there are a lot of days where I don't go to court, simply depending on how fast I can get the work done. And when she returns from court, we do have a discussion on the work that she has assigned me. She lets me know अगर कोई और चीज़ है जिस पे urgently research करना है, या if something has come up since then जिस पे we need to be doing something. But this goes on, and I am lucky that I do have a lot of face time with my judge, because again, each judge is very different, their working style is very different, and their clerk has to fit in with their routine. My judge specifically likes to constantly be updated, and so that is what I do for her. So you need to like, just in my experience, be very organized, be very clear, be very aware of what is going what is going on, um, and yeah, just really understand how your chamber is working as well, so that you're never lost. And I typically end my day at around 5 or 6 a.m. as Hania, but it can definitely end later also, subject to the workload and just the urgency of the matter. And as for the work that we do, it can range from judgments to conferences to just general research, sometimes just memos, sometimes they get invited to other events also, just clear you need to do a separate type of research. So it's quite diverse, and yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Thank you. The same questions to you, Mustafa. Can you describe your typical day? I think Mustafa has internet issues.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Can you describe your typical day as a
All
law
right.
cleric?
All right, excellent. Same as what Nuran, Hania, and Taiba said. Okay, typically, your day would start at 9 a.m. in the morning. You'd want to be there at court at that time. And from 9 to 9:30, you'd get an audience with your judge. You'd take your instructions for the day, or you'd receive feedback for the work that you've done the day before. At 9:30, that's when the court starts, and from 9:30 till either the tea break or until court concludes, you'd be attending court proceedings. That way, a lot of novel propositions come up, and if you're attentive enough, then you can take some time out of your judge's day and engage with them about what happened in court, and they might give you research relating to that. And so typically your day would start at 9 a.m. and you'd get free as early as 3 p.m. or but not later than 7 p.m., just depending on the type of day you're having.
Right. Thank you. The next question to Tayyiba. What have you learned the most in this experience as a law cleric?
Okay, so my experience at the Supreme Court is of around 2.5 months. So it's not been a long time, but in this time, I believe that I've learned a lot of stuff about the criminal law. My judge has expertise of criminal law, and he mostly takes up the criminal cases. And that is the reason that I get to work on criminal cases and criminal jurisprudence and that sort of stuff. So in these 2.5 months, I believe that I have learned a lot about the criminal jurisprudence. My concepts have become more clear, and I'm able to, I believe, put my thoughts into words, and all at the same time understanding the substantial and the procedural laws, as well as the practical aspects of the criminal justice system in my country. So that's all. Let's see what happens in the long run.
Inshallah. So the next question to Hania, how this role helped your professional growth and legal approach?
So everyone's clerkship experience is very unique, as my colleagues have said multiple times. And what you get out of this program, depends on, of course, the judge that you're working with, and also how you sort of, navigate the program. I think one common thread is that, at the end of the day, you are also working in a government office, right? And I feel like beyond legal work, you also learn how to navigate formal systems. You learn how to deal with administrative processes. You learn how to interact respectfully with, court officers, or the senior staff that you're working with. So that's one thing that I feel like is very valuable. I joined the clerkship as a fresh graduate, and I feel like it was invaluable in the sense that I got to see things from the other side of the bench. And I witnessed jurisprudence in the making. I observed how judges think, how they write, how they deliberate. And even though as law clerks, your role is, it's small and it's quiet, and it's abortive, but you get to play a meaningful part in shaping the language and reasoning of the law, which I think was invaluable for me.
Okay, now we take the questions from the audience. Audience, आप questions पूछ सकते हैं chat box में. The same questions we received, like I think we have already discussed it. What do you hope to get out of the clerkship experience, and how do you think it will shape your future career goals? So, Noren, you may answer this.
Yeah, so I think Hani and Taiba have done a really good job of answering this already, but I'll just give my take. Um, I'll break it down into two because it is two questions in one. So, सबसे पहले, what do you hope to get out of a clerkship experience? I think it depends on your entire motivation for applying. Of course, there are excellent career prospects and long-term prospects that are attached to the clerkship experience. But for me personally, I came into it just really wanting to learn more about constitutional law. That is an area that I was more interested in. So, human rights and constitutional law, basically, what my judge also, that's her area of expertise as well. And I feel like I'm getting that quite a lot. You will see from the judgments that we are putting out, and dissents. So,
Dissects.
it is quite an incredible experience because I think ek to hota hai na, you're sitting on one side, on our side as
Right.
we are right now, and you can read Pakistan law side, you can read all of the journals, and you can read all of the books ever and speak to as many lawyers as you want. But as Hania said, once you're sitting on the other side and you're interacting with the person who actually interprets the law, it's a completely different experience, and it's a completely different conversation, and that's such an invaluable asset to have. I think you should make full use of that because it's so interesting when, let's say, I'm confused about something and मैं library में जाके research करती हूँ, and then I go and I discuss it with my judge, and she always has such an interesting and fresh take, and that always leaves me with something more that I can go and research on, or something more to think about. So I think I've answered the first part of the question. As for the second part of the question, how do you think it will shape your future career goals? Sort of answered this as well. I definitely know that the clerkship is renowned worldwide, and especially in Pakistan, it is quite a competitive process, and over here also there's a lot attached to it. So I definitely think, while it is incredible for your career, I think you should look at it more from the angle of your own personal growth, because you should not just think, once I get this, so mera, like I will apply to this university, or I will become this or become that. You really need to still work just as hard, if not more, because now you are reporting directly to a Supreme Court judge. That is quite a big deal. And there is very little space to be like, I don't feel like doing this today, or I'm sorry, there's these many times that I did not understand what's going on. So I think maybe change this question, change the narrative in this question, and think, how can I better myself to then become the litigator that I want to be, the lawyer that I want to be, the practitioner that I want to be.
Right. Thank you. The next question is from Isha. I've heard that there is a requirement for the referee to know the applicant for the minimum of 1 year. Is there an exception available for this? So, being the coordinator, Hanya, you may answer this.
So it depends on what the circumstances are. I would suggest that you email the provided email SCP Law Clerks Valley that's provided on the website, and you explain your circumstances, and then we'll see what the circumstances are and if there is an exception to this for you.
Okay. The next question is what inspired you to pursue a career in law and specifically as a judicial law clerk? So, Tayaba Munir, you may answer this.
I believe that it is not career in law. It is some sort of a training that you get before you enter your career in a proper manner. So just take it as being the most junior individual in the legal fraternity, and then you're going to get guidance directly from the most senior person in the legal fraternity. So a fresh graduate getting guidance directly from the sitting judge of the Supreme Court. So I believe that it is a sort of a training period, and in this period you can get the most out of it as much as you want to polish your abilities, to polish your skills and your concepts. And afterwards, I believe you would become able to pursue your career. So it's a sort of a stepping stone towards the ultimate career that you want to adopt. That is the thing. And what inspired me to become a law clerk was that everyone wants to have a good teacher. So why not to get a good teacher in the form of a sitting judge? And what else could be the most best way to do so except working as a judicial clerk?
Okay, thank you. The next question is from the Abir word. Experience is necessary or not? Noren, you may answer this.
So experience is absolutely not necessary in my opinion, because there are law clerks that have come in straight out of graduating, and then there are some law clerks such as myself who've worked for over 2.5 years and who have come in. I think, of course, you will view it a little bit differently, because if you're speaking for me, if you're a fresh grad who has done the University of London degree, it is quite difficult to immediately get into Pakistani law and wrap your head around it, because it is quite complex if you're studying a completely different jurisdiction for the last 3 years. So I can see how that would be a challenge for somebody, let's say, with the degree that I have done, as opposed to somebody who's perhaps done the local degree. And even if you have done the local degree, it is still a different experience. The clerkship will always be a different type of and a very valuable experience that you will have. But of course, just getting used to the law and really understanding all of its nuances will be much more difficult if you have done the program I have done. In that situation, I would say while experience helps, it is not absolutely necessary, because there are so many things that you can do even within law school, regardless of whatever degree that you are doing, to kind of start familiarizing yourself with Pakistani law. So specifically, I think your main point, your main forum of just information should be, sabse pehle, if you are interested in the clerkship, then the Supreme Court website. Please go and just read the latest judgment section over there. Just start reading judgments that you enjoy. You should be interacting with lawyers, doing internships, visits to the High Court, just to see what proceedings are like. There's a lot of ways in which you can kind of make up for that. And yeah, that is my answer to this question.
Thank you. The next question is very important. I would like you all to reply or comment on it. The question is mostly the ones having foreign degrees, reputable institutions are given priority for the law clerk. Is it true or just a myth? First of all, from Tayaba Munir, you may comment on it.
I believe it is a purely merit-based position, and there's no difference between the students who have graduated from a foreign degree program or from a local degree program. I myself is a graduate of a local degree program from the International Islamic University, and I believe that it's just a sort of a myth because no, it doesn't make a difference.
Okay, the same questions to a question to Mustafa.
Um, just seconding what Tayyiba said, I do think it's a little bit of a myth. You're judged basically on your application in the interview that follows. It's just the most meriting a candidate gets, I suppose, the job. Just ensure you express yourself well enough in the application and you're able to give a good interview. And the most important thing is that you show a willingness to learn. So if you've done a well-researched application, regardless of what degree you have, um, you're gonna, I think, land the clerkship, hopefully.
Okay, thank you. The same question to you, Nure.
Yeah, so in my opinion, there is a myth, and if you would like tangible evidence, please look to the current law clerks that are serving with sitting judges. Each of us are from very different backgrounds, and we bring something completely different to the table. And there is no quota. You need to have a specific number of foreign degrees versus local degrees. That is absolutely not the case. Please, my only answer to this question would be please just apply, regardless of whatever degree you have. As long as you have a law degree, आप apply करो and उसके बाद देखा जाएगा.
Allah भलाई करेगा.
Exactly.
The same question to you, Hania.
Yeah, I think Tayyaba, Mustafa, and Ren have said most of it. But yeah, even as a coordinator, I'd say, your application will be judged holistically, and it does not matter if you've done a foreign degree or you've done a local degree. It also, I feel like it's important to highlight that it's also like, because I've been getting a lot of queries on this. Your GPA doesn't matter. The degree that you've done doesn't matter. Where you study from doesn't matter. And and whether you have substantial experience or if you're a fresh graduate does not matter. In fact, you're encouraged to apply as a fresh graduate. So yeah, your application will be purely judged on merit and will be seen holistically. So yeah, I think it's just a myth.
Thank you to you all. The next question is from Mariam. Being a Supreme Court judge is a huge responsibility and a lot of work considering the huge number of cases in Pakistan. Therefore, being a clerk to the Supreme Court justice is a load of work. How you manage this, Madam Tayyaba? You may answer this.
I believe it depends again upon different judges work in a different manner, so the workload is also different. Some judges demand the work to be done in the same day, some demands it to be done in a certain timeline, or sort of things like that. So I would say that discipline and punctuality is something that you need to develop in your personality. I believe it should be present in the personality of all the lawyers and the law graduates and law students. So this is the thing: the person who is disciplined, who is regular and punctual in their dealings, would be able to manage the workload easily. So you should just need to have a sort of a timetable for yourself that you have to do these sort of things in this timeline, and you have to complete it and submit the end project to your judge. So as long as you're having that sort of timeline with yourself, you would be able to complete it. It is not a big deal, I believe.
Thank you. The next question to Noren. What kind of questions are usually asked in an interview? And what does the selection committee rely on most? The written application or the interview?
Right. So there's no set format as to what you can expect that you will be asked in an interview. सबसे पहले तो I think the bench that interviews you also you don't know. It's not like in advance, you find out when you are shortlisted for the interview who is going to interview you. So I think if you're in that situation where, all right, you've been assigned a bench, you've been shortlisted for the interview, and you don't know if you should stay within the application or go beyond that, the best thing would be to सबसे पहले research your bench and see what those judges have been up to within the last few months. Say you will be able to gauge their opinion on certain matters, and you will potentially understand what questions you could be asked. Of course, as a rule of thumb, your application you should have memorized like the back of your hand. That is the bare minimum. आपको absolutely application की हर चीज पता होनी चाहिए. Um, you should also, I would say, be aware of the current situation, the current legal climate as well, to the best of your ability. And yeah, just focus on just जितना आपको आता है ना, just make sure that that is pretty solid. वो आपको सही से आता है, and of course there will always be like wild card types of questions that the judges will throw at you. But I think the most important point in that is सबसे पहले to just remain confident in your knowledge and your ability to handle the situation. And अगर आपको नहीं आता तो it's very simple. Just say I don't know, and it's completely okay if you don't know, because we can't know everything in the world. Even judges are on a day-to-day basis asking us for research on so and so aspects, because they also just need clarity, even if they have been judges for so long. So
Right.
yeah.
Thank you. The next question to Anya. Greetings, Ms. Anya Chana. Mooting has become the most celebrated activity throughout the law institutes and colleges. Can it contribute and aid in any way to our CV for this program?
I think, yeah, absolutely. If you've done mooting, that is a very valuable thing on your CV, and I'm sure that will reflect in your answers and your interview. But as I said before, again, your application will be judged holistically. So it's not like if you've done mooting, so you'd be at a considerable advantage, or that if you've not done mooting, that you'd be at a disadvantage. So yeah, of course, any experience or any work that you've done that is relevant to your to the clerkship is always an added benefit. But again, you don't have to worry if that's something that's missing from your application, as long as you're confident that you've you can link your experiences to how you'd be as a law clerk.
Thank you. The next question is again to you from the audience. I have a question from the coordinator. Given that most selected candidates are from reputable universities with good English proficiency, how important is this factor in the selection process?
Again, not important. I would never, say कि अच्छा अगर आपकी अंग्रेजी अच्छी नहीं है तो आप जो है आप you're at a disadvantage. ऐसा बिल्कुल भी नहीं है. I would, always encourage you to still apply. And again, not these things honestly do not matter. What matters is, how good you are at the work that you do. How, well you can show that you're, a good researcher. Or that how well you do in the interview, and how you can demonstrate that you have a good legal acumen. So yeah, no, you being good at English, or you being from a good university, or a good having a foreign degree does not matter.
Thank you. The next question is somehow we discussed it earlier, but again, how to answer the question? Is there any pattern to follow, and what do you think a best answer needs? The question is to you, Noren.
Right. There's no method to this, as Hania said last time. Is there any pattern to follow, and what do you think a best answer needs? Again, I think I will just reiterate what I said earlier, which is that, and also something that Hania said, please treat the questions, whichever ones you pick, as your first assignments for the judges, because you need to be taking it that seriously. Um, Once you do this, this will help you in a couple of ways. So, sabse pehle, you will be able to make sure that your answer is concise and to the point, and doesn't include unnecessary details that a judge, even if you were to be selected, would probably not have time to see. And number two, that really will help you um, organize your own thoughts and show that there's a clarity in the way that you are thinking, and that will translate onto paper. And number three, once you're able to do that, then of course you will have a very good understanding of the law. So let's say if in your interview you are questioned on a specific question that you have written an answer to, then you will be able to answer it, and you'll understand all the nuances attached to it as well. So that is my advice.
Thank you. The next question is to you, Hania, again, being the coordinator. What is the usual number of candidates selected per batch?
So the number of candidates selected per batch depends on the availability of judges. I don't think I can give you a set number right now. Um, and also because the number is subject to change, जब review हो रहे होंगे applications तभी पता चलेगा. So, but you can go through the previous, the previous results that have been posted on the web. Mostly it's, 10 to 15 के बीच में होते हैं. But again, I can't give a set number for, the 15th May wala batch right now.
राइट, सो हम अब इख्तिताम की तरफ चलते हैं. लास्ट में आप सब ने एक वैल्यूएबल टिप देनी है जो भी करंटली एस्पायरेंट्स हैं इस बैच के लिए. तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल यू मुस्तफ़ा, share one piece of advice for the aspirants.
I suppose I can't really give too much good advice. I'm new here myself, but it's ensuring that you are. Hello, Mado.
Yes.
All right, sorry, my voice cut off. Right, ensuring when you're answering your questions, you don't miss the forest for the trees. Ensure that you're able to, you know what you're answering. Read the question really well and don't put unnecessary references or citations in it that might bog down your question or make it look very distracted. Ensure that you're very focused on the subject matter and where you can be creative with it. For example, one of the questions in our how the Supreme Court has issued cases of sub judice contempt or how it's interpreted commercial free speech. And so I think try to be very focused on your application, and once you are shortlisted the interview, it's on the strength of both of these things that you're selected and not necessarily your extracurriculars.
Thank you. Noren, share one piece of advice for the current aspirants.
I think I would say please be yourself. Don't try to be somebody you are not. Don't try to impress anybody. अगर आपको नहीं आता, there's no point. You should not be going into that area of the law. Just stick to your strengths. The application should really be a chance to show who you are, what you want to do, why you want to come here, and how you will be helping the judges. And just be calm, take it one question at a time, and inshallah I'll be okay. Just don't stress about it too much, and please enjoy the process as it is. Take it as an opportunity to just improve your knowledge of the law.
Thank you. Eva, please share one piece of advice to the current aspirants.
My advice is that write one question per time, as Nuren said. Give time to one question at a time and write drafts of it. Okay, one first draft, second draft, third draft, till you're satisfied with it. It is that free of any sort of irrelevant information that drowns the actual idea or the actual answer. So this is a thing that make drafts. If you are still in doubt about your answer, make drafts, and when you are happy with it, then make it the final thing. And the second stuff is that just be able to put your thoughts into words, that whatever you are thinking, it should be transcribed onto the paper. And again, it is relevant with the first advice that I give, that write, make drafts, and you would be able to at the end put your thoughts into words. That is the thing. And be calm if you make it to the interview. Be yourself and just don't try to say anything that you're not sure about. And the same goes for the application. Just write whatever you are having a strong grip upon, or you are ensured that it is the correct information. Just don't do any sort of irrelevant stuff or the stuff that you are not sure about. And rest would be best for you.
Thank you. Anya, please share one piece of advice.
Yeah, I think my colleagues have pretty much given excellent advice. But I think, follow every instruction precisely. As I said before, treat this as one of the very first assignments that you've been given by your judge. Don't rush it. Label your documents clearly. Proofread everything before you submit it. Stick to the word count. Very important, I feel like. And be honest about your interests, and don't write what you think, the committee might want to hear, but write what you believe in.
Thank you. One last question we received lately, but that is important, so you may answer this. That will footnotes be counted in the word count?
No, footnotes are not part of the word count. It's exclusive
Okay.
of the word count, yeah.
Okay, so we conclude here. Thank you so much to all our wonderful guests for the taking time to share such valuable insights, and to our live audience for your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zohaib.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Zohaib. Jazakallah. Thank you.